ones and twos. And I just come here to let y'all know it's about to get real filthy in this mother.
All right, Carly's already trying to look at my notes. We are recording. Welcome to episode 38 of In Todd We Trust. You can now access the podcast at itwtpodcast.com for spoiler-free one-sentence reviews and movie ratings, episode descriptions, song of the week playlist, movie soundtrack playlist, submission form to be a guest on the show, and listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and watch on YouTube on the same day on Thursdays. I had been lazy with the YouTube uploads, but now I'm sticking to uploading them the same day as the podcast if you prefer to watch. So go check those out, subscribe to all of them, leave reviews, all that jazz. So today we have Carly. Carl's here today, one of my best friends. Very few people that I respect their opinion, and Carly is one of them.
Wow.
I know, right? What an intro, right? Retired volleyball phenom. From phenom, yeah.
That's really pushing it, bud. Thanks.
Emphasis on phenom from Villanova. Now, one thing to note is that I came very close to beating her 2v2 a couple years ago.
Very
in San
close.
Diego.
Oh, you're talking Ryan Rayfack, Brock Edwards, like the 2.0
That's exactly
match. Let's not bring that one up. There's a lot of different ideas of how that goes.
So, to be completely honest, and I hope people listening know that I'm one to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Ryan and I held back. So
right. You didn't want to come on too strong to the Edwards duo. Right?
We didn't, and I could tell that you all might have been a little fragile. So I really didn't want to break you down, break your ego down. We held back at the end there when it got close.
Sure. So when we tore you down by a few points, you were like, "Let's just hold back and let them go." I thought you don't like to lose.
I don't. And
you guys both were really sore losers. I mean, you struggled that day. We had a hard time rebounding and having some fun the rest of that day in San Diego.
I think that speaks to my acting skills. So
yeah.
So I had to make you all feel good about it, but yeah, we did hold back. But I do want for the record to show that that me and Ryan came very close to beating you and Brock that day. So.
And yet we haven't had another matchup. So what does that tell us about what's to come?
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Brock and I, we're ready. We'll take you on.
All
so
right.
You just name the time and place, and we will make it happen.
We'll get it going. I'm gonna shoot Ryan a text now. But yes, also Carly, in the spirit of competition, told me that this would be the best episode of my podcast has had. She's listened to the other podcasts, and the other guests just haven't been up to par. So
yeah, thanks for that one.
Yeah,
that's something I would say. Everyone watching that knows me would know I would make a comment like that.
So that she said. So everyone listening, just judge her very harshly.
Yeah,
very
thank
harshly.
You. Thank you.
Song of the week. So I know you were struggling on this.
Well, you know me, I'm not a big music girl, and I don't have the same following that most people do on the whole Apple Music, Spotify world. So so I'm gonna go with Summer Nights, Rascal Flatts. I'm still living in the summer season. We're coming up on the end of summer, but we'll go with just a classic summer hit here this summer.
That's fair. Rascal Flatts, the only song I think of is
My Wish, probably.
What is the one? Life is a Highway.
Oh,
is that the name of the song?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
It's the only one I think of that I know by them, which is what on the Car soundtrack for Disney. I think that's the only reason I know.
That's probably why you know it so well.
That's the only reason I know. My song of the week. So I'm struggling. Even still, right now, I'm struggling to choose between really 3 songs. So I'm gonna go with I believe "Boyfriend" by Ariana Grande. I love Ariana Grande. This song is essentially. What is the name of that? What is the name of her song? Why can I not think of it right now?
If you love her that much, Todd, you should know this.
I know, right? Exactly. Thank You Next. It's essentially Thank You Next with different words. I was not a fan of Thank You Next as much as I love Ariana Grande. But this is basically like a different version of that with different words. But that's probably my song of the week. I really want to go with these are bonus songs of the week, just FYI for everyone. So Clairo, I posted about her on my personal story, and one of her songs was actually my song of the week a couple weeks ago, but her album is really, really good. Okay. And I wanted to pick some other songs from there, but I like to add a little variety to the song of the week playlist. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go with Ariana. But if you do want to go listen, Impossible, and also Sinking. 2 great songs on Clairo's album. Really good.
Sweet.
So go check that out. All right. So Random Rapid Fire is a segment I do where I go through no prep questions. I actually just realized I forgot to write down my no prep questions, which is crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But so now I'll go no prep for the questions. I'll just ask them off the top of my head, whatever just comes to my head.
Oh, isn't that
and
fun?
And then you answer.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. First movie that you saw in theaters, if you remember.
First movie I saw in theaters? Oh gosh, something Disney probably.
Something Disney.
So we'll go Disney. I don't know which one it's been.
All right, so we'll go now. Better question. What is the last movie you saw in theaters prior to this?
Lion King. You'd
Lion
be proud of me. It was probably within the last month, which
Yeah.
is probably me. I haven't been in theaters in a while, so it was a pretty good one.
What were your thoughts on Lion King?
Lion King, good. I mean, I think it was great because there were so many really distinguished people in it and voices. So I think that's what I enjoyed most about it. Was just the cast that showed up for that movie.
That's fair. What is another good question to ask you?
Wow, you don't have them ready?
I know, right? I know I'm slipping.
Catch me off your game.
I know, right? So they're off guard for me too. If you could do anything, regardless of current career path or college studies, if you could do any other career, what would you do?
I'd probably have to go with something in coaching and sports administration. I think I've always loved that. I think I graduated from Nova. I thought I wanted to go into that route. But I think I would really enjoy. I mean, I coach on the side, but I really enjoy giving back to the younger generation, helping them kind of develop their skills and become the best person they can.
Wow. That is just very enlightening, Charlie. Inspiring. I guess the next question will be: if you ran away, in the spirit of this movie, if you ran away, where would you run away to and didn't tell anyone? Where would you go?
Let's see, probably somewhere in Europe.
Okay. Why Europe?
I think there's just a lot to be seen over there. So history, culture, food. Some great Italian food over there. So.
Yeah. Food is my number one factor.
Chipotle I think is number one factor.
Chipotle.
I don't know food in general, but gotta say Todd did really great last night. We went outside the box, like a new Mexican restaurant in East Lansing. And he was totally on board.
I was.
And it was awesome.
I was a good sport about it, but yes, Chipotle. That is a requirement for anywhere that I run away to.
Chipotle, so Antarctica probably wasn't top on your list.
No. If they put a Chipotle there, I'm all in. And it's cold, so I would run away somewhere warm with the Chipotle. So if Hawaii has Chipotle on the island,
I would assume.
I hope so. If they do,
then they've gotten on that level by now.
I'll only ask 2 more questions. One is go-to slushy flavor. I always ask my guests this.
Go-to slushy flavor?
Yeah, when you to theater.
I probably was 10 the last time I had a slushy.
What? Come on, Carly.
That's straight sugar, bro.
It is straight sugar. I
know. We'll go cherry. Cherry is fine.
Okay, cherry is fine. And then if you had to rewatch the same movie for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I'm a pretty big fan of Pride and Prejudice, so that one I would say I could probably watch over and over, and there's a lot to take from that film. It's a shame that we're not reviewing that one today.
Wow, yeah, I'm gonna say, that's what the viewers want, is Pride and Prejudice. Did you ever see the zombie version of Pride and Prejudice that came out a couple years ago?
Is there really a zombie version?
Yes, it was I can't remember what it was called. It might have been called Pride and Prejudice Zombies, I don't remember, but it came out a couple years ago. It looked really stupid, but
did you watch it?
Absolutely not. Okay. Pride and Prejudice is a little slow for me, personally.
Well, you really gotta get into it, and there's a lot of deep themes, so there's a lot to dig into.
It was a lot for me,
sure.
And I think partially is because we were forced to read the book in high school.
Obviously
I didn't read it. I had Spark Notes,
yeah.
but it wasn't enough to grab me to say, hey, I'm going to watch the film adaptation.
Sure.
And also I don't like zombies.
Yeah,
I'm not into zombies. I'm not scared of them. It's kind of been a stupid concept. I'm just not a huge fan of it. But yeah, so on to some other stuff before we do the movie review.
Yeah.
Football season is coming up.
Yes.
What game? Now, obviously, you live in East Lansing, and a huge Michigan State fan, as I am myself.
Yes, it's one thing we bond over.
Absolutely. What game are you most excited for?
Oh, that's a great question. Which game? I'm kind of bummed that I'm not going down with you and a bunch of people to Northwestern, because that was a really fun one a few years ago. I think we went with a bunch of friends. So that's one I thought about would just be a great, following people to get together that I don't have able to make. But that's one I was looking forward to. But
yeah, I'm looking forward to that one too. That might be top of the list as far as the actual going to the game.
I say the people. I think you can't beat that crew. That's why I'm contemplating the
it'd be a lot of fun.
Trip.
I know we had, like you said, a couple years ago. So backstory as well. Carly and I met before I moved to Chicago.
Yes.
And then when I moved, she was already living in Chicago, a few years older than me. And then I moved to Chicago. So then that's when we really became good friends. But while we were both living there, we went to the Northwestern game. And a ton of people that we know from Michigan State came down. We had a tailgate. So that was a lot of fun. It was very cold. Very, very cold that day. But luckily the game is in September this year.
Yeah,
so
should be a great weekend.
Should be perfect.
Great weekend.
Should be perfect. So I'm excited for that. I would have to say that's probably the game that I'm most excited to attend.
Sure.
As far as watching, obviously U of M, Ohio State are always circled on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
They're not home this year. That's always
that does suck.
One,
and I don't like going to each of those places either.
I would agree.
I'm not a huge fan of going to Ann Arbor. I like Columbus, the city, but to go there for an Ohio State game, I've never liked that. The stadium is cool, but I've never liked going there. I haven't had a lot of good experiences in that stadium. I always choose to go the years that we end up losing, which always
you're not allowed to go back. Basically,
it's me. Yeah, it's my fault. So I'm gonna, for the betterment of the team, I'm not gonna go.
Cool.
But yeah, I always have those circled, and then ASU, I'm actually excited for.
Yeah, that's
because we can get that payback. We should have beat them last year, but we'll get them this year. So excited for that.
Awesome.
So yeah. Other thing for people that frequent Lansing or live in Lansing, it's imperative that you make a stop at Horrocks Farmers Market. So that's always a stop for me.
Plug for their, what is it, their raasberry gummies?
Yeah, raspberry.
The multicolored gummy bears, I think were one
amazing.
Of
So I'd say top of the list is the 12 flavor gummy bears. Okay. It's amazing. So they have that there. They make the candy there. I know this because one time they didn't. Also, so let me go through the full gambit of candy that I get there. The 12 flavor gummy bears, the blue raspberry gummies,
that's the ones,
and the red raspberry gummies.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, do you have a discount code for your followers?
I don't. Yeah, if I say I need to become a Horrocks influencer.
You probably should frequent follow that. I think they can do
I should ask them if I could be.
You really should, because I think you'd be a great ambassador.
Just for the candy.
Just for the candy
so make it clear that I'm not there for the healthy foods or the organic stuff. It's
the
hey,
fresh produce. No, I'm here for the
fresh candy. They do make the candy there. I remember one time they didn't have, for a while, it was a couple months, they didn't have the blue raspberries, and I asked.
You drive all the way from Detroit. They should have that.
This is when I was still, my parents were still living here, and I would come up from Chicago, and I'd stop in, and I'd be I'll say, hey, where's the blue raspberries? That I haven't seen them in a while. And they're like, we the machine or the company that makes the parts for it, whatever, either shut down or they had to get something else, so they couldn't make them anymore there. So now I went back today, and to my surprise and delight, I saw
you got a nice selection.
I got a nice selection, so I'm ready. I'm packed up. I might end up stopping back again because I know I'm going to put these away.
I said they're pretty small. I don't know how many you got, but they look like they're not going to last more than a week.
You would have been disappointed in me in the back in the day. I used to get the bag and then just
there's a bag.
You can get a big bag
you can
and then
set
just
it
buy
up
a pound. But I try to keep myself on a strict diet these days.
Well, you've been working out so much, you can't put in all those toxins in your body.
It's not fair to my body.
It's true, yeah. With your figure these days, it's just you're hitting your prime. You can't bring in all that sugar into it.
I'm in a good spot right now.
2 days and all that good stuff.
I was doing 2 days at one point.
Yeah. Discipline right there, Todd.
The only issue is that at the gym, I'm running out of weights, so I'm getting
Isn't that everyone's problem? You can't find the 100-pound weights.
It's not enough. And
it's my issue too.
It's 130. It's really 130 is what I'm
you gotta settle. You just gotta settle.
So it's rough.
Life is hard to be you. I just gotta say that right now.
It is. I'll make it through. I muddle through, Carly. I muddle through. But to the movie.
Yes.
Because I know you were taking notes. So we actually went and saw it together. Typically, I don't do that.
I think I'm just such a VIP member of this experience. I got to actually see it with Todd, which was just...
Yes.
But I couldn't read any of his notes. He was typing the entire movie, so I really felt like I had to pull out my phone and try to...
I'm on my phone the whole time, and just so I don't forget anything. I don't want to miss a detail.
I can't wait to hear what you have to share with us.
I have some good stuff. So probably a hot take, too. But IMDb description for the movie: a loving mom becomes compelled to reconnect with her creative passions after years of sacrificing herself for her family. Her leap of faith takes her on an epic adventure that jumpstarts her life and leads to her triumphant rediscovery. So this movie, that is a very eccentric description, huh? Release date, August 16th. Notable cast, Kate Blanchett, Judy Greer, Kristen Wiig, Billy Crudup, and then Lawrence Fishburne. Writer and director, Richard Linklater. He's self-taught writer and producer.
Wow.
He's also done Boyhood, which was up for a lot of Academy Awards a couple years ago. That it's an interesting film. Boyhood's an interesting film. This one was an interesting film too, but Boyhood was a little bit more out there. Runtime was 2 hours and 10 minutes. So going into the movie, I know we were discussing like what we were expecting prior.
Sure.
So
and then we had to stop discussing anything after that.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah, I have a strict rule
take.
that the guests can't discuss the movie prior to the podcast. That way, you all are getting genuine first reactions from our conversation. So. Pre-movie, what were you thinking? What were your thoughts? What were you expecting from the movie?
Sure. I think when you sent me the trailer, well, at first I was really curious what kind of movie you picked for me because I'm not a huge movie buff. So
yes, I do know that.
I knew you were very thoughtful in the selection that you made. So I appreciate that. But no, going in, I think the trailer makes it look like when she disappears, that there's going to be some sort of murder mystery. I wasn't sure of that kind of twist of the film, so I was kind of surprised with the way it went because I thought we were going to be kind of on a hunt and it was going to be a little bit different in the way the actual film went. So that was my kind of idea going in. That
it definitely kind of throws you off a bit in the trailer. I didn't really have any expectations. The concept of the movie intrigued me. A theme I talk about a lot with people I'm close to, and I know we've had these conversations of doing what you love and figuring out what you're passionate about.
For sure.
And kind of that thought process of like what happens if you're not doing what you actually love or what you're meant to do. So
sure.
I was attracted to that idea of the film and why I felt like it was a good pick for you. So that was my initial thoughts. The story. The story's interesting. I didn't know it was a book too. So
I
found that out.
That was interesting. I thought really interesting to read the book and then see how they kind of did the movie.
Yeah. So initial thoughts after, obviously now that you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Any initial thoughts or things that
really stuck. Pull up my notes.
Oh yeah, that really stuck out before we go into like obviously the details throughout the movie.
Sure. I think my big theme, and granted, I'm starting to get my MBA and I'm doing all this reading on organizational behavior. I think that's part of what came up, but I think just the importance of valuing difference I thought was really great, and just there's actually a theory I'm learning about right now called the mirror fallacy theory, and the idea that we presume that everyone is just like us. Yeah. And so I think that was great, is watching the dad, who's this Microsoft tech guy, and he is looking at his wife and like thinks there's something wrong with her and isn't able to see her through a lens beyond his own experience. And I thought that was really great, thinking about an artistic background and what maybe an artist needs to be successful, and seeing how he struggled through that. So that was a really good example of just the importance of valuing difference, the importance of diversity of thought. I mean, there's a lot of those things and themes I thought that were in the movie. Yeah,
100%. I think I didn't even really think about it to that depth, to be honest with you, in that way.
I told you I tried to bring something to
right. Oh my goodness, Carly. Yeah, I guess that's what the NBA does, right? But no, I didn't think of it through that to an extent. Obviously, with him being kind of like robotic in a way. Obviously, he's working with robotics, but yes, him not being able to figure out what she needed or what she was going through.
I think it was when they got to Antarctica, he had that moment of like, oh my gosh, have I not been supportive as a husband? And like for him to kind of have to take that long to get to that place, I think it just shows that he's maybe in that culture, it's like you think that your way is the best way. And there's an example of how she's very talented but has a very different approach to work than what he does, and that was kind of a great moment.
Yeah, it was. I really liked that part, and he. And to that point of him, not really understanding or looking at it through her lens, and he kind of alluded to this a bit where, it's not just an equation. It's not like, again, he's used to working with robots where you put in an equation and
you get the output.
Exactly.
Sure.
So him having to step out of that and look at it, and because those are two completely different worlds, and obviously, the saying opposites attract, but, they were truly at different ends of the spectrum in that regard. So, that was interesting. So I thought this was, not to the story or anything, but the thing that he was developing They showed him doing like a TED Talk,
yes.
the mind reading like typing thing. Would you use that if that was an actual thing?
I don't think I would.
That would freak me out a little bit.
It freaked me out too, I would say, yeah.
That
because it got like every thought, like it wasn't just like the big picture. It was like, I don't know, it would be very, sporadic the way it would jump around a little bit. But no, I don't think I would.
Yeah,
it ended up being discontinued by the end of the film anyway,
right?
So it wasn't going to make it anyway for us.
Right. So yeah, that was a little weird, and I noted that like, man, would I actually use that if it actually came out? Mm-hmm. The movie got real like really quickly. I feel like as soon like the scene with the mudslide. I feel like after that, and then when they're out there in front of the houses arguing and yelling and stuff like that. That from that point on, it got really real. That part was really real, and then obviously the intervention scene too.
Yeah, I think they were trying to really paint sort of or portray the more like normal, normalness of their life. Honestly, leading up to that point was just trying to kind of create that scene for us going into that mudslide. Yeah,
it was it was interesting, and it took me a while to like for some of the stuff to like understand what was going on, and obviously like that's the whole point. Like you're kind of kept in the dark, and it's kind of like as the story unravels. Mm-hmm. But I do think the pharmacy scene was really funny.
Yes.
That was really funny. There's a lot of humor sprinkled in here.
Can you imagine being that like fearful or traumatized by going in public? That's the thing too, like going into public, talking to people. I mean, the fact that you had to go in to get the prescription was like terrifying for her. Like, I can't imagine you struggling with that. Yeah,
no, I mean, as much as I am definitely a recluse to some degree, I like being alone and having my alone time. I'm definitely not uncomfortable speaking to people by any means, but
you
that
excel in it. I would say. I'd say it's the opposite spectrum.
I hope so. Yeah.
Last night.
I hope so. I hope no one's looking at me like, oh, Todd, Todd can't speak to people. But yeah, I understand. Some of her anxiety, like with going on the ship. So going on the ship, that is something that would bring a little anxiety to me. Obviously, as you know, I'm not a huge plane person.
Right. But you've traveled quite a bit. I think you've come a long way with work. We've had to do it's impressive.
It's really funny when I say it to people, they're like, well, you don't like flying, but yet I'm like literally traveling every other weekend, it feels like. But I was watching the scene, obviously, where they were going up through, quote unquote turbulence on the boat. It was a shaky boat. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Actually, I think boats would scare me more. I think being surrounded just by water.
Well, it's hard when you're stuck. Because actually, this movie brought up a lot of memories from our family trip to Alaska that we took.
I was going to ask you about that,
Yeah. So I think a lot of it was like remembering that, doing the research on the boat and like the setup. I was just looking at like where we're going to be sitting at dinner and all the little details before. Yeah. They really portrayed a lot of seasickness there. So I don't blame you for being stuck on a boat, and it's an experience for sure.
How was Alaska? And I mean, I know it was like beautiful. I remember the pictures you posted, and I was like, wow, it like made me want to go to Alaska.
It was awesome.
Would you go again?
I would. What was neat is we did an uncruise, so it was kind of like instead of taking a bigger boat and doing all the different port stops, we kind of got into nature, which was awesome. So like we did one like hike where they just drop us off on a boat and just like set us off into the woods to like make our own trail. So really great family time, no technology, and just like a lot of quality time with the fam.
Now, were there any like animal scares? Did you see a bear?
Yes, actually we did see a bear. Yeah. We did. Brock actually was great to find it on the trails. We're walking, the guy didn't see it, so he kind of like pointed out there's a bear head on the trail. And so what was unfortunate is our guide had never seen one before. Whoa. And she was really traumatized because her friend actually just got mauled by a bear the week before our trip.
What?
So this girl, she's like talking to the bear, she's talking to me, being like, hey, like, could you please like go to the salmon stream this way? And Brock and I are like, this is not going to work. I mean, so anyway, long story short, we ended up like being able to step far enough away, but the way the trail went, it was crazy to see everyone's true colors come out because we got everyone fighting for themselves. And it was a little bit of a chaotic situation. But hey, we paid that much for the trip. It was kind of awesome. We got to see a bear.
That is awesome that you got to see a bear. I think, that would be a little traumatic. I don't know how. See, I've never understood that with people who go through something traumatizing like that, and then bounce back so quickly. And that brings to my memory, like with the story. The story with, was her name Bethany? That was a surfer who got...
Soul Surfer,
Soul Surfer, yes. And then you go back to surfing. Like, I could never. I could never do that. So, I mean, even for that girl, obviously it didn't happen to her, but to her friend. There's no way I'm bouncing back the next week and going back into the woods.
Oh, I know.
If I see a bear, like, again, every man for himself. If I was her, obviously you are a family, so it's, you're worried about the other people.
Right.
If I was her, I would have left you all. I would have left you all so
Left
quick.
us all. Well, the thing is, you're not supposed to run, and that's what I think a lot of people want to do is run. Actually, I think Louis Savona just saw a bear. His mom was telling me about his interaction with this bear and how like he ran that direction.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's like the last thing you should do. But
oh my god, that's who I don't want to see a bear with is Louis.
I was like, Louis ran. I'm like, sweet.
Oh my god,
sweet.
that would be hilarious. No, I love Louis, but that would, I feel like we definitely would get mauled. If I was
well, he's got like a huge thing of bear spray here now. He went out, and I guess he's ready. He's ready. I know, he's ready. He's ready from what I hear from his fam. So.
Oh my gosh, I'm just trying to figure out like what type of spray would protect
honestly,
you from a bear.
like no spray helps with that. So maybe it like is something to I don't even know to like put on your snack.
Close enough to
you're gonna be screwed. It's gonna happen. You're gonna get especially if you get between like a mama and her cubs. Like that's where you really gotta watch out.
And I'm trying to think of what level spray can harm a bear but not a human.
I don't really call it a spray harm. It's more like a distraction or diversion.
Is it okay?
I mean a repellent, like what, throwing some bug spray on you would be good. I'm thinking it's probably not.
The bear gets up to you and he's like, I don't know.
Oh, I can't go any closer because that smell is really bothering me. Like, I don't think that's how it works.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I'm like, I can't wait to talk to him about it.
Just for the story, I couldn't believe it. But he handled it like a champ.
He's doing a lot of traveling too. I've seen on like Instagram and stuff like that. He's gone to some cool places. So
yeah, he's got a great job and is really, I think, having fun out in California.
That's good stuff. The setting of this movie, so obviously in Seattle, and it's like, again, I think going with like her mental state, it's like very cloudy.
Lots of rain.
Like lots of rain. And obviously Seattle's known for that anyway.
Yes.
But it's definitely played up here in the movie. I was super confused with the state of their home. At first, obviously, we understood a little bit more as the movie went on, as we did with a lot of the things, like, Manjula. You're like, who is this Manjula? And then obviously it comes out that she's being conned and all that stuff. But, which also, side note, I do think the idea of a virtual assistant isn't the worst thing.
I know, she got a lot done. Well, it's kind of interesting, though. Yeah, she got a lot done for her. I mean, she, didn't have to, order anything.
Yeah.
That whole Amazon Prime thing, but you're not even touching it. You got someone ordering for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. If I was busy, like obviously.
It was crazy too how technology, her talking into the phone. I mean, that's talking into your phone. Like that's why I was surprised that at the point in the movie there was never a point where her husband or someone overheard these conversations because it was so I was like, man, like if you. Yeah, I wouldn't be talking probably quite that loudly to my phone if
not at all.
The stuff she was talking about, but
I'd definitely be paranoid that someone would be listening, but that was the state of their home, the way how it was just like an abandoned home that they were living in, and obviously there's a lot of blame put on her, but I'm like. The father too, like, I mean, at what point do you come home and you say, okay, enough is enough, like, I'm going to go on and get, take some initiative to get, I get it, you have work and stuff, but, I mean, you all have been there for the last, 18 years or however long they've been in Seattle. 20 years they said they've been in Seattle.
Right.
I mean, that's a long time to let a house just go
away like that. And I wasn't sure if it's kind of symbolic just of the brokenness of her life, and obviously, as we talked about with her passion for architecture and creating things.
Right.
I feel like it was just her rebellion stage. Yeah, the fact that there was grass and stuff growing up underneath the carpet. I think it has something to do with just her overall state and her she's struggling with. But
it definitely was playing into that. And even with the they kept drawing attention to the plant that was growing under the carpet that she cut out and then was trying to still nurture.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
So I think that they definitely played into that kind of her creativity. That might have been, kind of underneath that exterior of her just being antisocial and being just really cruel in general.
Yeah.
I think it was drawing a comparison to that. But that downtown library looked really cool in Seattle.
It did look sweet.
Have you ever been to Seattle?
I haven't actually. I haven't made it out there. How about you?
I haven't. It's a place that I do. That is on the list. I forgot that Microsoft actually until right now talking through it that Microsoft was based in Seattle.
Yeah.
I remember I hired a girl what was she? She's an ambassador at one of my jobs that had an internship with Microsoft and she was in Seattle.
Oh,
it was
sweet.
Before she was going to UCLA. So that's where the ambassador program was going to be, where she's going to be for the year. But I do remember chatting with her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, she's really really smart, obviously." And she's like, "I'm in Seattle for an internship, whatever." So so it made me just think about that. Also, back to food for a quick second. There was a scene where they were showing how she did the construction for the Team Disney building in Burbank, California, right outside of LA. I have seen that building. It is a really cool building. One of my good friends that lives out there used to live in Burbank.
Oh, nice.
First time I went out to visit him in LA, I stayed there. And when we walked around, we went to, there's an area in Burbank where there's a Chipotle right next to a Pinkberry, right next to a movie theater.
Wow,
so,
it's like your dream all in a row.
And he moved, and I remember saying to him, like, what were you thinking? Like, you were so close to a Chipotle and a Pinkberry right next to each other.
Right, like, what were you looking for? You got the movie theater right there.
It's like, what are you doing? So, Pinkberry also, if you go there, again, this might just become a food podcast, but if you go to Pinkberry, get the pomegranate. Get the pomegranate froyo. It's fire.
Right.
And that one in Burbank, it's not anymore, but it used to be the only one in LA where you could do self-serve.
Oh, yeah.
So Pinkberry does it behind the counter now, but that was one of the only ones where you could still self-serve. So, so RIP to that to Burbank Pinkberry.
Sweet.
They no longer do that. But yeah, would you go to Antarctica? So I know you said you went to Alaska and that you'd go back. Antarctica, I know it's a little bit of a different trip.
A little different. I'm not sure if it'd be as high on my list. I think Alaska, we got some good variety. I mean, it was hard. We didn't see the sun for the full 8 days we were there. Really overcast, really dreary, kind of has a Seattle vibe to it. So I would say probably not super high on my list. I think I'd go other places before Antarctica.
Yeah, no, that's
How
fair.
about you? I mean, is it hot? You don't love the cold.
I don't love the cold, so I mean that one would be out for me very quickly.
Sure.
Antarctica is a no. Also, I'd be kind of paranoid to where I can only get there via like multiple forms of
transportation. That's the other thing. It freaked me out in Juneau. We were in Juneau, and it's like the road ends, and you have nowhere else to go. So that was really unnerving for us. Like, we drove to the end of the road, and like, gosh, there's like nothing else here. You can't leave. I mean, it was kind of unnerving. You can't leave.
That would freak me out if like something goes south.
Yes.
It's like if I'm stuck there. Like, let's say right now, there's like, hey, we have to ground all planes, and we can't do anything with, like, you can't ride on a boat. I'd be like, well, okay. Like, if I was in East Lansing right now, I'd be like, okay, cool. Nothing I do require, if I need to get to my parents, I could drive to Florida. It'd be a long drive, but I could get there.
Right.
If I need to see my family, the rest of my family, I can drive to Cincinnati. I can drive to Philadelphia where my sister's at. But that feeling, I would feel stuck.
Yeah,
so
I think it's almost like, and you probably would be fine if you didn't know, but it's like the fact that you recognize that you're stuck, it almost makes it so much worse. Yeah,
I would definitely, whenever I go somewhere, I'm always thinking of like an exit strategy.
Oh, really?
I don't know, it's always...
Interesting. What does that say about you?
Wow, let's break the psychology down. I don't know.
Break it down. Interesting. I never knew that about you. Always looking for an exit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that sounds worse.
That sounds like you had a really traumatizing childhood.
Right? I know, and I didn't. I actually had a really good childhood, but...
I thought so, yeah.
I don't know. I've always been... And as a child, I was like that too. Like I've always been very cautious.
So you'd go to like a Disney show in Orlando, and you'd be like looking for the exit.
Not necessarily like that extreme. Like, I wouldn't get in and be like, "Where's it at?" But but my family actually would laugh about, like, I'm always like in thought, like my thought process of, like, I mean, even as a kid, like if I'm in a situation, just like what would be the exit? Like, it would be like, hey, Todd, like, what if something this happened? I'd be like, oh, I already thought about it. I brought that back door. So I don't know why. I've always been like a super cautious person. My dad and sister are more daredevil-ish.
Okay.
But I'm definitely more on the side of, like,
Does your mom also kind of fall on that side? You still 50-50, or she? Okay.
She's more towards me. Probably not as bad as I am with it, as far as just being paranoid for that type of stuff. But yeah, I never liked elevators. I would always take the steps. As a kid, I'm fine with it or whatever. I still think about what would I do if it's stuck, but if it got stuck. But I don't know. But yes, that kind of answers why Antarctica would not be top of the list.
Sure.
For me, again with the cold. Another thing with Manjula, real quick, that would piss me off. Thinking about transportation, the Sky Miles, and they're like, yeah, she flew over on my Sky Miles.
Yeah.
That again. Wiping out the bank is one thing, but don't steal my Sky Miles.
What's crazy is she didn't even wipe out the bank on it. She went for the Sky Miles. So that was like the first hit, which I thought was maybe she's trying to slide under the radar, but I thought it was funny. She didn't even go into the bank account yet. She was just hitting the Sky Miles to get across the way. Miles.
I was like, I would be so pissed because I take a lot of pride in my Delta Sky Miles that I've accrued over time. So, and definitely use those for free flights. I think I've done 2 free round trips off of my Sky Miles so far, and I still have enough juice in the tank for another maybe 2.
Have you thought of, now when you use your Sky Miles, do you think about using them for a fun trip, or how do you decide where you're going to go? Or it's like, I'm going to be going to Florida for a game, I'm just going to use it to not spend money on that flight. How does that go for you?
Yeah, it's kind of that. Like, and where I'm at, like financially, if it's like, this is a pretty good month, I haven't spent money on a lot of other stuff, I'll just buy the flight.
Okay, that's
But
fair.
if it's like, I've been spending a lot on sneaks, then like
sneaks,
maybe
like how many pairs in the last 3 weeks?
4 pair. It's insane.
4 pair.
It's insane, yeah. So I've been going kind of crazy on the sneaker game, so I need to
all Nike.
All Nike.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, okay. I will go outside of the Nike box at times. Okay. I do have one pair of Adidas Ultra Boost. Very comfortable. I do have that. I do have one pair of Adidas Crazy 8s. It was Kobe was with Adidas. For those that don't know, Kobe was with Adidas before he went with Nike.
Sure.
And it's his shoes. Not a huge Kobe fan, but I do like these shoes. I got these several years ago, so I have those.
We gotta get you like a shoe closet you can display all these. Cause I was at your place and I feel like it wasn't fully.
Oh, I gotta show you a picture.
Oh, you got it all
updated.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I have. I don't have a safe picture. I'll send you one today.
Please do. I'd love to see.
I got shelves.
Oh yeah, you have to be able to see what you got. I mean, boxes easier. Just isn't working.
No, I got rid of all the boxes are gone.
To show the whole case. Wow, that's impressive. So you're also not moving anytime soon because you set up house.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. So, but yeah. So I do have the shelves now. So those look good. I think Bernadette. I think it speaks to how sometimes people are just misunderstood. Again, going that like just not looking at just your lens. But you think about it, and obviously as you get more detail on her background and what she went through and what led her to Seattle and what led her to this mental state. Again, they mentioned her miscarriages, which I won't say they glossed over, but they focused way more on her failure as an architect than they did like that alone.
Like on her life experience, I agree.
Yeah, I think she said she had 4 miscarriages or 3 maybe.
4, yeah.
And I said, why like that alone could break a person. Forget the professional side of things.
But then your actual daughter, so she's born, but she's always health issues. So then the husband talks about like her Bernadette throwing herself into raising this child and helping her live. But that's got to be, like I said, traumatizing, going from 4 miscarriages to having a child that's struggling and trying to fight for their life a little bit. Yeah,
and he brought up her, again throwing herself or dedicating her life to Bernadette and her health. I'm sorry, not Bernadette. B. In her health or her daughter, and kind of said it as like a knock. And I get that can't be her full life. However, if you're 100% dedicated to work and you're gone all the time, you have a daughter with health issues. And she's still, she was, again, they showed that she was applying and got into boarding school for high school. Right. I mean, this girl's not even, a freshman in high school yet.
Right.
So I think it's very plausible for her to be as concerned as she is about B. So, I definitely, I'm not even a parent yet. And I can imagine that being, that's very, I feel like common. I know people who are obsessed with their kids now who have no health issues.
Right. Oh, right.
If they're single children. But, having gone through that, I think could speak to a lot of it.
And it was neat how they portrayed like the father's therapy session, like with the actual therapist, and then had Bernadette talking to the dean. I think it was at USC, like the architecture school. Yes. But just seeing how like when she's in the right contact with the right people, I mean, she was like an open book, and you almost didn't recognize her.
Yeah.
And it was really neat how they kind of paralleled those two, both meeting with someone. I was like, gosh, like here's her therapist, and I don't know, hearing the two perspectives was really interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it was like her own version of therapy.
Yeah, okay. So it was easy. Like she was like an open.
Yeah, with Lawrence Fishburne when he was there, I thought that was good too, to show that like, hey, she's not nuts. Like she's aware of what's going on to an extent.
Right.
Obviously, she might have just not realized that you simply need to create something. Is kind of what the solution kind of was for her. Is that you're misunderstood, and Lawrence Fishburne again being an old friend and someone who's from the same cut from the same cloth, so to speak, as her as far as their profession, could notice and recognize, hey, you're not crazy. I know you.
Right.
You're going through all this stuff. You're going through Seattle, through all this stuff. You just need to create.
Right.
So so I thought that was cool to see her version of therapy and show that, hey, she's not against getting help or talking through some things. It just needs to be on her terms.
Yep, absolutely.
And everyone needs a different form of therapy where that was for him, what worked for him. But again, going through that thought process and theme of, hey, what works for one person might not work for another. So,
but I think also the communication, I feel like that was also really, it was kind of lacking in general. It's just like, again, going back to perceptions and how you think or perceive something versus the reality. And so a lot of it was like they weren't communicating. So when they went to dinner, like the conversation was like kind of more him attacking her of like, you need help, like what's going on with you, instead of like thinking about maybe what drives her, what makes her, her
Right.
passions, and going that route. So it's interesting just to see the way they kind of struggle to communicate after they both had those really big successes, at him at Microsoft and then her through her architecture career. It was interesting to see once the good stuff went away, what happened to that relationship.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good to see that. I think it's tough that, like, whenever you put someone in, mental rehabilitation, and especially when it's against their will, it's tough. And as I was watching, and I've seen that done before, in actual real life. So it's interesting because it's like, when do you realize, when do you make that decision of, especially if the person's unwilling to go, of, hey, they need help, or hey, they're just misunderstood. And in this situation, she probably did, like, she needed to talk to someone. I don't know if rehab is necessary, but she definitely needed to talk to someone. But the movie, they're showing you her perspective. Obviously, she's the focal point.
Right.
So you're naturally siding with her.
Right.
But you're trying to figure out, like, does she need it? Like, even as the audience, you're like, maybe she does need to go, or maybe she just misunderstood and needs to create. Like, you don't know. So I think that's really tough for families to figure out that. And I thought it was executed really well in the movie. I thought it was
intervention.
Yeah, I thought the intervention, the way it went, was really realistic.
Yeah,
it wasn't dramatized, and I think, like, that was a very great depiction of how that situation would actually go. I thought it was done tastefully, and I thought that the movie through and through was just very realistic. Obviously, there's parts where it's like, okay, that's kind of funny, or like, that's silly, but I don't think it's out of the box. I don't think it's out of the box. And also, another thing that was, it wasn't the main point, but that money can't buy happiness. Obviously, they're very well off.
For sure.
Money's not a huge deal to them. She kind of does whatever she wants to do. Has a lot of that freedom, and it was just more about their happiness. And they were just so miserable in that in that house, and so that was interesting too. But yeah,
sweet. It's a good review there.
Right.
That was real life experience.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that was interesting. I do have to say though, if someone tried to put me
in a mental institution.
In a mental institution in my current state, and again, I don't believe that I don't think so. I don't think I need it. I don't know.
In your current state, okay.
My current state, I would plot against them for the rest of my life. Like, I would.
Like, you would try to get them into a mental institution.
I don't know if I would do something.
Something.
Like, this is my like how I think.
Your really mature response to someone asking that you're helping you get help.
100% would be like if you do something to me and I feel like it's like with ill intent, then it's I'm gonna try to get you back.
All right.
And I'll plot too. Like, I'm not like a instant get you back. Like, I need to get you back right now.
Yeah.
It's like, I might get you back in 5 years, but it's gonna be
good when it happens.
It's gonna be good. Yeah, it's gonna be good. So I was thinking that too. Like, man, if someone did that to me, I was already thinking, like, I would do this and then, like, plot to get them, like, especially if I felt like it was not just, right?
Sure.
So and I don't know. Like I said, that kind of goes back to the point of, like,
when do you know?
Was the husband? Yeah, do you know? So that was.
I think for her, in her case, though, she needed, whether it was an actual inpatient experience, she needed a couple days as a touch point, whether it's for her creative standpoint or just, like, mentally to kind of take a step back. Because I do understand, like, the concern of her being out in society or out on her own with how she would have been acting. Because some of that behavior didn't really line up in terms of,
she's
going
like
after the neighbor.
In the pharmacy,
taking naps in the pharmacy when she can't sleep at night and all that good stuff.
Yeah, the neighbor, and I like Kristen Wiig in this role. Kristen Wiig is hilarious.
She is.
And I thought that was interesting too. Of, it wasn't a one-sided film. It wasn't, we're going to, like, get you to really love Bernadette and nothing's wrong with her.
Yes, that's good.
Or, and on the other side, it wasn't, she's just a menace and everything she does is wrong. It was, you could really see both sides in a lot of the situations. So, like, with the neighbor instance, with, her collapsing, the mudslide.
Yeah.
You're looking at it like, she kind of did ask for it and the neighbor is annoying, but Bernadette, you knew better.
Like, she hit her. Kristen Wiig hit her with some real truth of, like, moving in the neighborhood, like, you buy this fancy house and you're still never going to fit. I mean, she hit her and you could look at Bernadette's face and see it was sinking in a little bit. So it was a real turning point. Yeah,
and then the daughter gets out, which I love.
That was fantastic.
That was amazing. The daughter gets out the car and then defends her and then is going off and then, again, hits her with some good points. You don't even know your own son.
Yeah, right.
All this stuff. So I thought that was, again, that's obviously a lot of things that, will trigger a parent as you talk about their kids. You know, Bernadette obviously was triggered, but she was, you know, kind of impartial to all the things she was saying about her specifically.
Right.
But then when she drug B into it,
right, that's when she really snapped. Yeah.
So I thought that was a great scene, and like I said, that's when things got real, and it was kind of like, you know, we're done being passive aggressive. We're just gonna put it all on the floor.
Yeah.
But I do love her. I do love her character in this. I thought it was good. They had Kristen Wiig.
She's great.
And her son, like her son smoking, like vaping in the house during her party and stuff like that. You know, I don't smoke, but if I did, I feel like I still wouldn't vape because it just looks so stupid. Like, and that's to anyone who listens who vapes. I think you look stupid when you do it. It doesn't look cool. Like it's
which is what life's about, right? To always look cool.
It's about looking cool. Like at least cigarettes look cooler than vaping.
Wow, so, we're really having this. You're having this conversation with me.
Right? Cigarettes at least look cooler than vaping. I'm not saying cigarettes look cool, but you know, they look cooler than vaping. Vaping just looks lame. So, I mean, health side effects aside, like, try to look cool at least.
Okay, so you'd think you'd look cool with a cigarette versus
more cool.
Right.
Now, I still don't think necessarily I look cool.
Okay, I think you look really cool without any of that stuff.
That's what I think. And that's what I opted to. You know,
it's a good look for you.
I opted not to do any of it, but if I did and I had to choose, I'd take cigarette.
This might happen in the next few years. So
who knows? I might have to choose. Someone might say, Todd, you have to choose right now, vape or cigarette.
Gun to your head. Which one are you going to go for?
Going to go with the cigarette. But yeah, so that was his involvement was funny. Boarding school seems horrible. I've never understood going to boarding school.
Yeah, or just sending your kid off, and it's just she really wanted to go, but it was more perception of what her parents' stories that were told and what they wanted. But I agree, I think that'd be really hard because you're going off to college pretty soon anyway. So it's like get 8 full years away. Yeah,
100%. That would be rough. Christian Wiig as a parent, so like the PTO parents are super involved. I actually look forward to being in PTO one day.
Oh yeah,
like, I would actually enjoy being in PTO.
What role are you hoping to get?
So that's the thing that's tough. Like I would just have to be in a place with work. Like I always picture like I'll be at a point when I have kids that are like in 5, 6, 7, 8 years old.
Sure.
I'll be in a place in my business where I can like work from home. So I have a role in it.
I think you're already hitting there a little bit. You're already reaching that stride.
I hope so.
Which is impressive.
I hope so. I hope I get to a point where it's like I have my own thing and I have someone, like I have a good team that's running it. I'm still very much involved in the day-to-day, but it's more at home and I go into the office maybe like a couple days a week or out of the month. And then that way I could be like a stay-at-home dad who's working from home.
Sweet, yeah.
So I can like still take the kids to home, still go to everything. So that's how I picture it. And then in that role, then I could also do like PTO stuff.
Absolutely.
So that would be a lot of fun. But I do know about myself, it would be tough for me to be in a supportive role if I didn't if I had like a Kristen Wiig.
Support the team, yeah.
If a Kristen Wiig was the president, then I know that my natural instinct would be to overthrow her.
Right.
So I would have to. That would be
the women. Yeah, I've heard the women in PTO. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful what kind of women you have.
I'd either have to be like respect the top dog,
sure,
or be the top dog. So
actually, I think you have to be the top dog.
So I'm gonna have to go for that.
Be PTO president one day.
I'm campaining for PTO president. Yeah, I don't even have a girlfriend, wife, or kids, but I'm campaigning for PTO president.
You're ready.
Just know that I'm ready. I'm gonna show this episode when I am a parent and be like, look,
kids, listen to this.
Look how dedicated I was back then.
Look at the work I've been doing for you.
Put this commercial on like the announcements in the morning.
Oh yeah.
The kids are like, what is this? Your dad's so weird. But yeah, also a super funny scene when they have like all the suburban white kids. There's one black kid singing the Kenyan pop song.
Oh gosh, that was so bad. Yes.
That was hilarious.
I could sense something was coming with where they put him by the window.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, this is not going to end well. They're talking about diversity and global perspective, and then they're going to just get taken out by this mudslide. Luckily, it came through the front door because I thought it was coming through that window.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So luckily nothing happened to the kids, but I thought that was just a funny. Yeah, like we're talking about global diversity, and they like spanned as like all white parents and then one black kid. It was a really funny scene. I loved all the scenes with B. I loved every scene with the daughter. She had passion. She just was such a lovely kid. I mean, she was giving her father the blues, and I was like, oh man, she keeps hitting him hard here. But like, the dad probably didn't hear it.
Turn around, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
it's gonna turn around.
You knew it had to. You knew it had to be like a coming together moment at the end, which we
absolutely.
had, and which was really beautiful. But B. all the scenes with her, just like it, like her and her mother in the car singing, her mom coming to her
that
concert,
was
like
great.
all of them were just really heartfelt moments.
You could just see their relationship, despite all of what Bernadette was going through. You could still see how important her daughter was to her. Through all that, through those little moments.
And that was great, is that she didn't allow that to affect her relationship with her daughter.
Yes.
So I thought that was the best thing. And again, I mean, obviously that's what the husband said, that she, you know, really just threw herself into vicariously living through her daughter. But you see that, and it was just really heartfelt, and I just loved all those moments. They just felt so genuine. The acting was really done well in the movie, so I appreciate that. LG, you know, again, I tried to put myself in his shoes in a way. He kind of sucked. He did kind of suck. I understood some of what he was doing, but most of it I was just like, like LG, like you're missing the mark here. Like I see, like it's almost like I got him to like an extent, and then he would just take a left. Like, and it's like, nope, I can't condone any of that. He was very calm for someone whose wife was going through some of the stuff, or like even when she left, he was like, she'll come back when she's ready.
Yeah,
like,
that was weird. That was a weird moment.
Like it was almost
just relax. She'll be back when she's ready. I'm like, that's not really a good answer for your wife or your daughter to hear.
No. So I mean, he had a lot of pitfalls in this movie where I was like, man, you know, you really suck. And I'm really glad they didn't go the route of him having an affair with the assistant.
I know, that could just so easily happen. And it's hard.
It would have thrown the movie off.
And I think it would have taken away from the main theme of why we're there.
Exactly. So I'm glad they didn't do that. I thought it was important, though, to see, like, how, you know, she was saying, or even though Bernadette was in the wrong in some stuff, how she was saying, hey, like, don't let what she called them, the gnats,
the gnats
influence you, and you know, calling her a gnat, and him, you know, siding with her, again, like kind of proving her point, but you know, and then him end up, you know, quitting from his job at the end or whatever. So I thought that they kind of came full circle, and they did it in a way where it wasn't, again, take away from the full point.
But I wonder though, because the whole him leaving his job was really interesting and kind of caught me off guard, which I think is great. He's going to give more time to his family. Yeah. But it was kind of like showing, okay, can they not both be successful at work to be a successful couple and family? Because it's like, okay, now they're going to put her first, and then he's going to take a back burner. So maybe I don't know what we're trying to show there, where they can't both be working and successful in that moment. Granted, she's going to be gone for 5 weeks, so we need the dad home, but it's kind of interesting how they did that too.
Yeah, you know, that is true. I wish it would have, you know, I kind of do wish it would have.
Like power couple, power family, going after it.
Maybe he just says, hey, I'm going to take some days to work from home, or something like that.
Right, exactly. Or hey, I'd like want to be in this merger, whatever, the reorg, I'd like to be moving to a different role where I'm around more, you know, something like that, versus like, oh, I'm just going to tap out, I'm good. Like, just take me off the...
That is a good point. Yeah, they didn't have to portray it like, hey, it's only one person can succeed.
Right.
But I didn't think about that, but that is true. And I think that does happen, or is the conversation a lot of times with couples, where like only one person can be like.
Because there's always sacrifices. So figuring out, is there a way to sacrifice where you're both getting some of what you're passionate about and what you want to do in life too?
Right. You have to. You have to.
Yeah, your parents, I think, are a great example of that too. Watching your mom and what she's working on, and your dad. 100%. I mean, it's a great example of that.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, everyone in every marriage relationship is different how you compromise. And it's 50-50, but it's not always the same type of 50-50.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think that now, like, you know, my parents being one example, not going into a crazy amount of detail, you know, their 50-50 evolves as you have kids and then they graduate and then move on. So
I love because I see them encouraging each other and what they're passionate about, and that just shows a really good foundation for their marriage. Yeah, it's in what's great about my family. Not just going like a psychological breakdown of my family, but what's great about the four of us is that no one, you know, I was thinking about this the other day, not even in regards to this film, but what has made us great at supporting each other is no one's talent, passion, job has ever eclipsed anyone else's. We all have very strong personalities, and no one, whether it's my dad's coaching, like, you know, I've seen families where, especially in his profession, where everyone is just super obsessed with that, like the fact that their father's coaching, or you know, my mom has always been super involved in our church and stuff like that, and whether it's like, you know, being a director at our church or running our church's nonprofit, or you know, doing stuff with the Boys and Girls Club. She's now on the board for the Boys and Girls Club for that southern region of Florida and like Georgia area. So again, very involved in doing a lot of stuff, but like that was never more important than my father's career. My father's career was never more important than like when I was in high school running track, or my sister doing dance. Like her dance recitals or dance competitions
were equally as important as going to an MSU game.
That's awesome.
And going to, you know, if my mom had an event at church or had a banquet that she put on or a fundraiser, that was the most important thing at that time.
Right.
It was never more. It wasn't more important than my track meet, or my track meet wasn't more important.
Yeah.
Like, so everyone got like equal amount of respect in what they were doing, and that still stays true now. You know, as we've moved on to do different things as adults. So I think that was very key. Is like no one had to take a back burner. There was no one who felt neglected, or you know, we were all really into this one thing. It was like everyone's thing is everyone's doing their own thing, and everyone appreciates what everyone else is doing. So. You know, I hope that I do the same thing with my kids. It's like, hey, no matter, and it didn't really matter what I did. You know, if I decided like I wanted to go into like crocheting, like everyone would make me feel. Even if they couldn't care less about crocheting, they would make me feel like
for sure
the crocheting was the coolest thing ever at the time.
Right.
And they'd be hyping it up, and they tell all their friends to come and support crocheting, and like they buy my blankets.
Like a crocheting club, and
100%, they would. So that's the really cool thing about them, but yeah, back to the themes for the movie. Never Meet Your Girls is one of them. Just briefly with the girl who met her in the library.
Oh yeah, that was rough.
That was brutal.
Really rough.
I always think about like there's a few people on my list of like I really would like to meet them at some point in my lifetime. LeBron probably being number one on that list. If you don't know, LeBron is. If you don't know me, or if you know anything about me, you know I love LeBron and Chipotle. It goes like
those are those two.
It's right up there. It's like God, and then like my family's probably tied with Chipotle and LeBron.
Wow,
and
that's
Nike.
saying a lot.
Like those four are probably like right along the same line. But yeah, so that's definitely one of those. AI is also Allen Iverson is high on that list. He's probably a little bit higher than even LeBron. To be honest, he's my favorite player of all time. But yes, I always do think about what if you meet these people and they're like jerks. Like that would suck. Like that would just.
Or if they have an issue socially, like we saw with her. Like what if your idol like can't communicate? Yeah.
Or if they're really awkward in person. So that would, you know, if I catch them on a bad day, like that would ruin my
just
entire
ruin
perception.
your whole perception of them.
Like really quickly, a story about when I went to. So Lily Allen is a pop artist in the UK. Fairly popular, very popular over there. Probably some declining popularity now, but she's really popular. Probably like a decade ago, she's coming out with a lot of hits. Anyway, she's one of my favorite pop artists of all time. Probably top 10, maybe top 5. So anyway, she recently came out with an album last year. I believe that came out last year, maybe 2 years ago. No, something like that. It was last year. Last spring. So she went on tour, came to Detroit. I went to go see her, went to the concert, bought a balcony seat, which was more. Also bought some merch and a vinyl, because if you bought vinyl before a vinyl.
I heard this story. Continue. Reviews are going to hear this one.
It was a rough one.
I remember the vinyl.
I bought a vinyl so that I could get. So if you bought merch before the show, then you got to meet her. You got to be first to meet her after the show.
Yes.
So sure enough, got all this stuff. Sat there, amazing show. Then probably halfway through the show, she was like, "Hey," she had to keep stopping in between songs, or even sometimes during songs, to go do like nasal spray and like take some medicine, because her voice was just really. She was really sick. She was really sick. She was trying to power through. So anyway, ends up having to end the concert early. She's probably and I follow. So before I go to concerts, I look up Setlist FM. So look it up, Setlist FM, if you want to know the set list prior to the show.
Sweet.
So I like doing that because then I know when to expect when my jams are coming. I just can prep myself. I make a playlist for it before I go to a concert. So anyway, I did the same thing with Lily Allen. So I'm like, yes, one of her songs, it's coming up. Like, she did Smile, which is my favorite Lily Allen song of all time. So I got to see that. I recorded part of it, so that was hype. Apple was my favorite song on her past album, which was coming up. She didn't get to it. She said, "I'm so sorry." She started crying. So sorry. I've never done this before. I have to end the show early because like they're telling me like I'm just so sick. I'm gonna lose my voice. I'm so sorry. Cries, goes off the stage. So I'm like,
she's like, "Oh, I better get in line because I gotta go meet her quick."
I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So I go down there. I said, "Are she still doing a meet and greet?" And they said, "Yeah, she's still doing a meet and greet. You can go down. Like you already bought merch. You can go down." I get down there. I'm the first one in line. So I'm the first one in line.
Great place
I'm like, oh my God, I'm so hyped up. Like, I've been a Lily Allen fan since I was in 6th grade. So I'm like, I didn't even know what to do with myself.
Right.
So I'm waiting. And then sure enough, security guard comes over to me. He's like, "Hey man, I'm so sorry. She left. Like she's not doing a meet and greet anymore." Like I said, she's like, she was just so like distraught or whatever. And I'm like, she's distraught. Like I'm distraught. I got half a show and I didn't even get to meet her.
Yeah, all this merch.
So then I was like, I tried to be like sympathetic and like, no, hey, like she's going through a lot. This must be a lot for her. But like, I've been waiting for this moment for over a decade.
And you were in line first. That's a really hard position to be in.
So it was rough, but so again, never meet your heroes because sometimes you actually won't meet them and they disappoint you. Like Lily Allen disappointed me. Still love you, Lily Allen. Still would love to meet her. Still one of my favorite artists of all time, but that was rough. But yeah, back to the conversation about if you don't do what you love, then I think you're kind of rendered useless. In my opinion, that kind of is what happened with her. And unfortunately, I think there's so many people who go through their entire lives and never find what their thing is, like what they're meant to do.
Sure.
Unfortunately, and I just never want to. I never want to be that or see. Again, I think I know what I'm meant to do and meant to be.
Sure.
Like I have a vision of what it is, and sometimes I communicate, and sometimes some things I just keep to myself and like, okay, I just want to see this thing through. But one of my biggest fears is if I were to die without getting doing all the things that I want to do, like all the things that I feel like I'm meant to do. If I were to life to be cut short before that, or if you get to the end of your life and you're like, wow, I just never really fully accomplished everything. I got lazy or got distracted. Yeah. But I do think that I think about that a lot. Like if you don't do what you're meant to do, like you're kind of just a shell of a person. Like if I don't start some of the businesses that I want to start or do some of the things, then I'll just be unhappy and I just won't, again, I'll be Bernadette, you'll become Bernadette. Yeah. And I think that's the same for a lot of people, whatever that is for a person. So, but I thought that was good. And I think that kind of speaks to this podcast even.
You've wanted to do this for a while and here you are.
Yeah, it was
such a great following and so many people on
man.
the show.
I broke 300 followers on Instagram this week, so
that.
I'm famous. So if you don't know, I am famous now. 300 is the mark for when you're officially a star, A-list celebrity. So
300
is the mark. So
you hit it.
Yeah,
you're living big.
I'm not verified yet. I think it's just like.
Do you have the little check yet?
I don't. I think they're going. Yeah, I think Instagram. Yeah, there's something's wrong with their system. They're really backed up right now. I think that's why I don't have the check yet, but I'm expecting it soon.
Great.
But yeah, honestly, that's how the wanting to create and wanting to do something is kind of where the podcast came from. To be candid, at the time when I came up with it, I was unhappy at the job I was at and love that job as far as the people and everything like that and the opportunity. But at the time I just knew it was done. It was time for me to move on, and it was this kind of spurred from I need to feel like I was creating something. I just wanted to have ownership of something and create something that was just for me. And that's how the idea of the podcast came along. I was like, what am I passionate about? I really love movies. I love chatting with my friends, in a one-on-one setting. So I was like, how can I create something like that and kind of bring it all together? And that's how the podcast idea came along and how I did it. But it was a really great creative outlet during that time when I was unhappy at my job. So I think that, again, this kind of speaks to it. Yeah, just if you're meant to create or you just doing whatever it is, whether it's a sport or something like that, just do it. Find time and do it. So that is my off my soapbox.
That's a good life lesson.
Yeah. Knowledge from tips from Todd. Tips from Todd. One of my friends years ago told me I should do a series of that on social media. Tips from Todd.
That'd be good. Or what would Todd do? I'm lucky to be wearing one of his featured bracelets here today. This what would Todd do? That's pretty.
Yeah, if you want a
cool
what would Todd do bracelet, hit me up. I think I'm gonna get some In Todd We Trust ones too. Actually,
that's a great idea. This one's a little large for my wrist. So
okay.
Get some new merch going.
I'm gonna get you a Carly specific one. What would Todd do? Carly.
Carl.
Or two Carls. Yes. Some people are just misunderstood. Another theme that we talked about. Possibly misdiagnosed or disregarded completely. I think so. Again, in this. I think they were going to diagnose her with some things that probably weren't necessary. I think she was just in a place of depression and not doing what she loved.
Right.
But I think that happens. I think sometimes people get put on medication that is actually not right for them, or like I said, completely disregarded. Whether it's lack of resources, whether it's financially, or just the people around you can't identify that this person needs actual, mental attention and help.
Because even her pills in her medicine cabinet, I think about it. I'm gosh, so So her husband goes through and sees all the empty bottles, and I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, gosh, is she trying to create something here?
Right, yeah, right.
All these gorgeous, like all these colors she loves. I'm
Yeah.
like, is that her way to create? And he obviously is perceiving that as like, oh my gosh, she's just taking a different cocktail every day.
Yeah, right.
But that's even an example. Is she trying to create something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Perception.
Right, exactly. And she even mentioned that, like the cup. She's like, I
just love the colors and the shapes. And I'm like, okay, this sounds crazy to anyone else, but to an artist.
And she's not even taking the pills. And obviously, like the psychiatrist comes in and she assumes that that means planning suicide or suicidal thoughts.
Right, exactly.
And that had never been alluded to in the film, and she hadn't even Bernadette hadn't even spoke to that. But again, from the outside looking in, that makes sense. If you're making a cocktail of pills, yes, that makes sense that you would think that. And then the last thing I think is just really important to understand people. I think that's an invaluable skill, is to understand yourself, and then because a lot of people just don't know themselves, and then two, understanding other people. And I think that's a skill that helps in literally any profession or just any life instance. Just understanding, because again, he didn't even really understand his wife after 20 plus years of being together.
I think that kind of, you could even like put that into emotional intelligence, the idea of understanding 100%. Your own emotions, how you're feeling, how someone else is feeling. But I agree, it's really how you understand, and also just taking the time to understand someone that's different than you, has different values and different interests, and like you said, different passions.
100%. But yeah, that was I thought it was a really good movie. All in all, halfway through, I even thought, like, I really love this movie.
Yeah,
I was like, this is a great movie.
It surprised me.
It did. And again, I thought it was going to be a good movie. I just didn't think it was going to be this well written. And even like I said, this guy.
I thought we were going to lose it. I thought we were going to get halfway. Like, okay, like I get it, but I was captivated the whole way through. And it was a 2-hour movie, 2-hour plus movie, and we even stayed through like some of the beginning credits as they were showing what she designed. It all led up to her designing this piece or this building for in Antarctica, or for a group of scientists doing work there. So we even stayed through that portion. But it inspired me. I really liked the movie. Cate Blanchett as Bernadette was amazing. I thought she I would not be surprised if she was nominated for some awards. She did a great job in that role. It was just such a tasteful and beautiful film, I think. Again, how they did it, how they did the themes, from start to finish. Like, I don't know if I'd change. It's one of those films that I don't know what I'd change. I don't know if there was any detail that I'd change. It was just clearly conveyed. It was entertaining. It had parts of humor, but nothing distracted from the actual movie. Right.
Kristen Wiig didn't. Obviously, she's a lot of times in comedies. She didn't distract from the actual point of the movie. And it was one of the best films I've seen all year. I think I would say in top 3 or 4 movies I've seen all year.
That's saying a lot for all the ones you've reviewed this
I know. It's one of my favorites for sure. So
sweet.
Really, really good movie. So for you, what would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
1 to 10. I'd probably give it an 8.
Okay, nice. I give it 8.1. So we're right on the same page.
Did you really?
Yeah.
8.1.
8.1. So
just
right
slightly
there.
above the 8-point scale.
Right. I've been right on in tune with movie ratings for like the last maybe 4 episodes.
That's
Me
great.
and my guests have been on the same page as far as ratings.
That's impressive.
So right there. Would you suggest that someone go see this on opening night, $5 Tuesday, Netflix, or don't watch it all?
Yeah, you could do $5 Tuesday if you're looking for a little date night or night out, I would say, for sure.
Nice.
Netflix, yeah, absolutely.
That's what I had down. I had $5 Tuesday. I actually had date night, and then I actually deleted that part. So it's funny that we're really
it's
into
like on one level, Todd.
So,
it's pretty cool.
Right? So $5 Tuesdays, I agree. Opening night, only reason I don't say opening night as much as I do really like this movie is opening night are movies for me that will get spoiled if you don't go see them.
Right, and you can't wait unless you're going to go see it. This is just a great film no matter where you're at in your life, what you're dealing with. Just a good touch point of, passion, value, difference, and how you perceive the world around you. Yeah,
100%. Really good movie. It's going to be definitely one of those that I refer to a lot of people and tell them, hey, you got to check this out. So really enjoyed it. Upcoming movies. Anything that you're really excited about?
I think Little Women's coming out, I think in December, kind of a Christmas theme. But I grew up reading that book every Christmas, and I think it hopefully will be a good film, so I'll probably go see it around the holidays.
God, I hadn't heard of that, but I'm going to look it up now because I love Christmas.
Yeah.
I love Christmas movies. So what I'm looking forward to is Brittany runs a marathon. I likely won't review it, But it's about a girl who wants to take back control of her life by getting healthier and by doing so she trains for a marathon.
Awesome.
So I have a lot of respect. So fitness is really important to me, but I have a ton of respect for people who push themselves to get physically fit, especially when they're naturally heavier. So some people just have, are just born, bigger, struggle with weight or weight gain.
Sure.
More, I know myself, I just have always been I've always been skinny and I haven't had an issue with that. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy.
Right.
But, and I've made a push to be healthier eating wise, but you wouldn't tell that by the Horrocks plug earlier. But yeah, so I've always enjoyed running and stuff like that. But for some people, that's a struggle. A lot of people hate running. But yeah, I think that I have a lot of respect for people who push themselves to just get healthier and better themselves. So
yeah.
I'm excited to see that. I think it's based on a true story.
Awesome.
So it's even more inspiring. So,
when's that one coming out?
I think maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, sweet.
Something like that. So I'll probably go check that out.
Great.
Like I said, I probably won't review it because there's some other bigger movies that I kind of want to do. But I will let everyone know how it is. Maybe I'll post something on my story about what I think. So, but yeah, that's all I had, Carly. So yeah, anything else?
No, thanks so much for bringing me on. It's great to be part of this journey with you.
Yeah, right? Thank you for coming on. Everyone, thanks for listening. Until next week, peace out.